Welcome to my unboxing and first look at the BenQ RL2455HM. This is a bit of an evolutionary step forward in their gaming monitor line that takes what was already good about the HT model and sort of kicks it up a notch. So for one thing, they've added stereo speakers, meaning you can plug this monitor into a console and you'll have, it won't be the best audio experience in the world, but you'll have some sound from your game. They've added dual Hdmi inputs, so now you can have it hooked up to your PC and something like a gaming console at the same time. Alternately, you can have it hooked up to a couple different gaming consoles and easily switch between them without using a receiver. And last but not least, and this is the big selling point, is the fact that it now features, look at that, they don't even put it on the front of the box. This is like the big deal, a 1 millisecond response time. So the rest of the specs of this monitor are pretty much what you've come to expect. So there's 1,000:1 static contrast ratio, or 12 million to 1 dynamic contrast ratio. Remember, dynamic contrast ratio is achieved using things like backlight dimming in order to make blacks blacker, because the way that LCDs work is there's a backlight shining through an LCD panel, so there's only so much you can do to completely block out the light. It also has a 60 hertz refresh rate, so this is not a 3D ready model. It doesn't have a 120 hertz refresh rate, but the big deal with the whole response time thing. So, okay, that seemed like a good thing to happen. So any gaming monitor should have low input lag, which is not the same as response time and is not the same as refresh rate. So the refresh rate is how often the monitor draws a new image on the screen every second. So 60 hertz means it's drawing 60 images every second. The input lag refers to how long it takes the screen itself to actually receive a signal from the computer or from the console device. And most gaming monitors these days should have quite low input lag. And last but not least, the response time refers to how much motion blur, or many people refer to it as ghosting, but it's not the same thing, but how much motion blur there is on the screen during fast-paced action. And that's where this monitor is going to excel. So yes, it's a TN panel. That is to say the colors are not going to be as vibrant or as rich as something like an IPS or a VA panel, but if you're looking for a crisp image during high motion, this is probably going to be pretty much the way to go. We're going to put it together here in just a moment. We'll be right back. So we actually didn't have to do much in terms of disassembly in terms of assembly, because the only things that really go together are the base here, which just uses plastic clips to go into place. So assembly is just a snap. Get it? Haha, it's a snap? Yeah. And then there's no screws involved in putting the screen itself onto the base either. You just snap that into place as well. But before we do that, I just wanted to show you guys the wide variety of different input options you have with this monitor. So there's your power in, there's your audio line in, your headphones out, so this means you can use your monitor as a pass-through. There's also your 2 HDMI inputs, DVI and VGA, which has an included cable. But don't worry, this isn't like that one BenQ monitor I unboxed where it only came with a VGA cable. BenQ is including a DVI cable. The only thing I would have liked to see a little bit different on a gaming class monitor is maybe the inclusion of a DVI and an HDMI cable rather than a DVI and a VGA cable, just because it's targeted at console gamers as well as PC gamers who probably aren't using VGA at this point in time. The overall monitor is pretty slim. It's not the thinnest monitor in the world by any stretch of the imagination, but they got to get some electronics in there and some cooling going on, so you can see there's cooling vents all along the top of the monitor. It is a 1920 by 1080 HD monitor, which makes sense given that it, again, is expected to be used with consoles. And the way it clips into the base is pretty straightforward here. Now, you don't have to use the included base, which is a fairly basic one and doesn't include anything other than tilt. So that just slides right in there. But it also has VESA mounts, so you could put it on, there we go, an LCD arm should you so desire. So there you go. That's what the monitor looks like. It's got kind of like a, gaming-oriented red racing stripe thing going on over here. Now, one of the things that BenQ is really proud of with this particular monitor is the fact that it's the official tournament monitor of the Intel Extreme Masters. Now, with that said, not everyone plays in only the Intel Extreme Masters, so they do still have their smart scaling as well as display mode features, which allow you, with the push of a button on the side here, to change the way that this monitor works to emulate a 19-inch, 19 wide, 22-inch, 22 wide, and then I think 23 wide I can't remember all the different display modes, but the point is that, yeah, so 22 wide, 23 wide, 21.5 wide, 19 wide, 19 inch, and 17 inch, because at many tournaments they're going to have standardized monitors that you're using, and they're not always going to be 1080p monitors, although they're more common these days. So that way you can sit and practice on your monitor at home and be ready for whatever size you're going to play at a particular tournament. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it.